You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Welcome to the podcast, everyone. Okay, Don Jr.'s weighed in on Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch again. And I'm going to read you this headline. And then before we go through the story and everything that Don Jr. says about this, I'm going to say a few things. But here's the headline in a story today. Donald Trump Jr. calls for an end to the conservative-led boycott of Bud Light and iconic Anheuser-Busch over a partnership with trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney. Okay, now I'm going to read through this article in a bit, but I just want to talk about a little bit here with Don Jr. I saw this with Don Jr. when it happened. It was on his podcast. It's the episode where Cat Turd was his guest, if you want to hear it, and it's in the beginning before Cat Turd comes on when Don Jr. talked about this. I watched the whole thing twice, and I want to say a few things about this. One, it's becoming very in vogue all of a sudden for MAGA people to start attacking Don Jr., all right? Mark Dice made a video today saying terrible things about Don Jr.
Like what?
Well, you guys can go watch Mark Dice.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I said terrible things about Don Jr.
That's shocking. I love Mark Dice, too.
I love Mark Dice, too, but I like Don Jr. a little bit more, okay?
Yeah, well, obviously.
But Mark Dice really went off, and it's becoming very quickly, now it's the weekend, and things may change, but it's becoming very quickly an in vogue thing for MAGA people to start attacking Don Jr. Let me tell you a couple things about this, okay? I am never, and I've said this for years, and people criticize me for this. I am never going to criticize President Trump. I am never going to disagree with President Trump. You're never going to hear me say anything negative towards President Trump ever. And I always put this little addition to it. It's not that he's saying things that I disagree with that I'm keeping quiet. That's not the case. I agree with everything Donald Trump says and does, and he's great. And that extends
courtesy extends.
Yeah, that extends to Don Jr. and Eric and others from the Trump family, okay? Not everyone, somebody, it's a big family and people can say and do things. But I'm going to extend this to Don Jr. and Eric Trump officially, okay? Yeah. I mean, I thought it was kind of a given. The immediate Trump family have been put through things that mortal men and women could not endure.
True.
Don Jr. is the first son of the United States. They hauled him in front of congressional committees. Meanwhile, we have this guy, Hunter Biden, who is addicted to every addiction known to man except gambling. I've never heard him being...
Except food or gambling, yeah.
Oh, no, I've seen him do some eating food when he's high with the hookers. I've never seen him do anything when it comes to gambling, but he has every other vice there is. Maybe he gambles and I haven't seen it. And does he get called in front of any... No, not at all. He gets to travel abroad and be an honored representative of America, right? So Don Jr. has been through a lot. He continues to go through a lot, and it will never end, okay?
Yeah.
He will be put through the ringer by the left and the establishment of the Uniparty forever and ever and ever, even after President Trump moves on.
Yeah, and he's a young guy.
And is no longer with us decades and many decades from now, hopefully 100 years from now. But when that point comes, Don Jr. and Eric are kind of like, expected to take up the reins of MAGA and inherit that after President Trump to some degree. I'm hoping that Don Jr. becomes the governor of Florida after Ron DeSantis' second term. He lives here in Florida. He knows Florida. He's very active in Florida, and I think he'd be a great governor of Florida. So, I'm not going to criticize Don Jr. And so far as what he said, I'm going to go through this article. But one of the things he said, and I'm not defending Bud Light or Anheuser-Busch. Do not misunderstand. I am not defending them or their actions. But what he said is something we talked about on a podcast episode or two ago. You brought this up, Kathy, that this vice president in charge of advertising, in charge of marketing, did this thing with Dylan Mulvaney, and the executives at the company probably that run it at the upper level probably didn't know about it because she's a high level person.
I'm sure they did not.
However, Mark Dice showed a television commercial Bud Light did with, oh boy, who are those two liberal jerks? Amy Schumer, who's not funny at all and is really a disgusting person. Mm-hmm. And who is the actor that was in Knocked Up years ago? You know who I'm talking about?
Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen. And it was a Bud Light commercial at a gay wedding where two guys were getting married. And it was, so they've done woke stuff before. Right. This isn't their first walk with the woke. But what Don Jr. has said, and I'm not saying that I agree with this, I'm just not going to attack Don Jr. like people are doing. What he said was, hey, listen, this person probably did this without the company knowing. He did go on and say he looked into it. He, as a team, they looked into it. It's a very conservative company that donates to Republicans, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if donating to Republicans is a good thing because there's a lot of Republicans like Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan, Mitt Romney. You know what I mean? The way DeSantis is behaving lately. So I don't know if donating to Republicans clears someone or indicts someone. So I don't really know what that means. But Don Jr., let's just give Don Jr. a bit of a break here. And what's going to happen, because he made these comments over the weekend, this is the first full day of the comments being out.
Yeah.
By the beginning of the week, Don Jr. is going to respond to this in one way, shape, form, or another because it's going viral. So let me read through this article. You actually sent me this article, Kathy, and I have not read this article yet, but you told me that it explains Don Jr.
It explains his, thinking behind it.
Mm-hmm. So let me read through this. This is the article from the headline that I read. It's from The Insider. Donald Trump Jr. is calling for the end of a conservative-led boycott against Bud Light, which is owned by Anheuser-Busch, over the parent company's partnership with trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney. During an April 13th broadcast of his Triggered podcast, but this happened over the weekend, but we haven't had a weekday news cycle to digest this yet, okay? So, during an April 13th broadcast of his Triggered podcast, the eldest son of President Donald Trump addressed the controversy that has become a new cultural front in the political right's increasingly vocal criticism of transgendered issues and the conservative push to pass legislation restricting gender-affirming care. Trump Jr., who often speaks out against woke influencers, is usually fighting alongside conservatives on many issues, but he broke away from the movement as it is related to Anheuser-Busch. And this is what Don Jr., this is a quote. I'm not for destroying an American, an iconic company for something like this. The company itself doesn't participate in the same leftist nonsense as the other big conglomerates, Don Jr. said, arguing that Anheuser-Busch had a conservative lean in their political donations. According to Open Secrets, Anheuser-Busch and individuals affiliated with the company donated $514,375 to the National Republican Senatorial Committee in the 2022 election cycle. Individuals with ties to the company gave another $464,505 to the National Republican Congressional Committee during the same cycle. Don Jr. went on, he said, frankly, they don't participate in the same woke garbage that other people in the beer industry actually do, who are significantly worse offenders when I looked into it, he continued. But if they do this again, then it's on them, then screw them, Don Jr. says.
Right.
So here's the thing. What Bud Light did is very bad, very damaging. The Bud Light brand
and it was stupid.
Yeah,
stupid.
The Bud Light brand is now forever damaged. I don't think Bud Light itself will recover in the next 50 years because
it's a really dumb move.
If you walk out of the store with a case of Bud Light, people are going to think you're trans or on your way to a drag show or some same-sex birth announcement, or some transitioning ceremony. People are going to stop buying Bud Light. They won't be able to recover from this. Now, what I was shocked to learn because I don't really pay attention to beer. I don't drink that much. I don't really pay that much attention to beer. I didn't realize that Anheuser-Busch owns like many of the great brands that I like Michelob, which I've always enjoyed Michelob. It's amazing how many different beers they own. So, that's not good, but they own a lot, and it's not even an American company anymore, which is a sad. I never really thought too much about Budweiser until this stuff came up, and I actually in 10th or 11th grade in high school, I got sent home from school because I was wearing a Bud Light Spuds McKenzie sweatshirt. It had Spuds McKenzie on the back, covered up the whole back of my shirt, and it said Bud Light about 1 inch long on the back. And then it said it on the front. Spuds was on the front, and then Bud Light. And because it said Bud Light, a teacher sent me to the dean's office, and they said, "Well, you got to change shirts." I said, "Well, I don't have another shirt." And he said, "Well, you have to wear your shirt inside out all day then." I said, "That's ridiculous." I said, and I went to a school in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, that had because it's South Florida, a lot of Hispanic kids, a lot of Cubans. And at the time, Corona was really popular, and kids were wearing Corona shirts all over school. And I said to the dean, I said, there's a guy right out there in the hallway. He's wearing a Corona shirt, and it says Corona all across the thing, and mine just says Bud Light. Why am I, And they sent me home, So Bud Light's been controversial in my life but there's what Don Jr. is talking about here with Bud Light. Whether or not what he said was right or wrong, okay? Whether or not his reasoning is right or wrong, I believe Don Jr. has been put through a lot because of who his father is in the past several years, and will be putting up with that for the rest of his life. I think he deserves a pass from people.
Well,
as opposed
it's just
to being
hard because
canceled.
he made a total 180 very quickly.
Yeah.
So you have to question the motivation sometimes.
But Mark Dice was doing almost. I know Mark Dice would disagree with this, but what Mark Dice did today was almost a tar and feathering and canceling of Don Jr. And
I wouldn't take it that way.
So I think Don Jr. has earned one misguided statement. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's, I don't think.
So you disagree with what he said?
I'm not saying that I'm agreeing or disagreeing with Don Jr.
You're disagreeing.
I am not going to criticize.
Yeah, okay, I think we know what you mean.
I am not going to criticize President Trump or the immediate Trump family.
Right.
Okay. But what I'm here to tell you is, I want to ask you this question, listening to this program. Has Don Jr. earned a pass of forgiveness from the MAGA world on one thing that you disagree with him on? I think he's earned more than one pass, probably. But it's not like he's filming himself with Russian hookers high on crack, waiting for the Russian, pimp to come and pick him up like Hunter on the laptop.
It's amazing how you have companies like Target, which allows men in the ladies' room, but that Target seems to go on because women love Target. They love Target.
Well, it's easier to boycott Bud Light than it is
They're not
Target.
going to boycott. I love Target too. I don't use the bathroom there anymore. I don't feel comfortable in the bathroom, which is true. But I do love Target, and I will never stop shopping there because it's one of my favorite stores. Women love Target, no matter what. So that's a harder sell.
Yeah.
Bud Light, like you said, it's easier. There's a lot of other beers. It's easier to boycott, and obviously it's made a statement. It's
easy to boycott something you don't drink.
Well, no, but people are boycotting it that do drink it because it's hurting their sales.
Yes.
But it's an easier thing to boycott and make an impact with than, like, say,
Kathy,
look at Bed Bath & Beyond. They're going out of business too.
What do you think?
After a few years. But this has been an immediate reaction within weeks.
What do you think about my question with Don Jr.? Everything that this guy's gone through.
Yeah, I think he deserves a pass.
Can he get one break?
But like he said, if Bud Light does it again, it's on them. So does that apply to him as well? If he does it again, is that on him, or are you going to give him another break?
I'm not going to put Anheuser-Busch on the same level as. And I'll tell you one thing that was really concerning to me is the guy that runs Anheuser-Busch is a former CIA recruiter. And as far as I'm concerned, you're never former CIA. You're always CIA. So is Anheuser-Busch a CIA company? Listen, the CIA needs money to do their business, okay, beyond what they get from the government. They get their own little private things going.
Know.
Is Anheuser-Busch a CIA company? What's a CIA recruiter doing running Anheuser-Busch? Isn't that weird?
I don't know, but I like Don Jr. a lot, but
of course, we all do.
I feel like something caused him to shift. I don't know what it is.
Maybe he knows this guy.
I don't know.
Well,
he did a quick shift very quickly.
I'll give you, okay.
I mean, it was like he attacked him and like 5 days later he completely changed his opinion.
One thing I talked about a couple of times on this program in relation to this, and let me explain this to you, okay, and how it relates to this.
Okay.
And I'm not agreeing with what I'm doing is I'm giving you a comparison, an analogy on something else. When we were in high school, we talked about this, the Exxon Valdez oil spill. The Exxon Valdez was an oil tanker. The captain was drunk. I don't know if it was Bud Light or not, but he was drunk. I don't remember what he was drunk on. He crashed his ship in Alaska, and oil spilled all over the place, which was actually a great benefit to wildlife and Alaska because they got all kinds of cleanup and everything else in the long run. But there were boycotts at the time. People in this country liberals were boycotting Exxon. And I talked about this. I had this teacher in high school who was a very smart guy, and he probably was a conservative looking back. He says, when you boycott Exxon, what does that mean? You don't buy gas at the local gas station? He says you're not hurting the Exxon Corporation. You're hurting the local guy that owns that gas station. Right. And there is truth to that. I understand. So what Don Jr. could very well be implying is when you boycott Bud Light and Anheuser-Busch, obviously
it hurts all the employees.
It hurts at the local level. There's local companies that are responsible for the merchandising of these products and everything. Remember that guy that inspired me to make my video last week, a merchandiser who said, no one's buying Bud or Bud Light and I won't be able to feed my family. Thanks a lot, Dylan Mulvaney. There's a lot of this going on, and you're hurting immediately and directly local people that work very hard like this merchandiser. This CIA recruiter that runs Anheuser-Busch, which is just so bizarre to me. Do you think they've lost $5 to $7 billion in their value? They've lost because the stocks. They've lost $5 to $7 billion in value, Anheuser-Busch, over this. Do you think this guy is all of a sudden not flying on private jets? Do you think he sold his yacht? Do you think he sold one of his dozen houses or many houses? Has it affected? Who's it hurting?
And that VP still has her job.
Exactly.
She still got her job. But, I don't think, you're right, nobody's going to go into a bar and order this now.
Oh, no. Unless it's a gay bar.
Because exactly.
It's the number one drink sold in gay bars.
Because it's going to be, no blue-collar guy is going to go into a bar with his friends and order Bud Light. Never, it's not going to happen. And I've read many stories on things like local bars all around are not even ordering it anymore. That's really putting a dent in the company because they're not even ordering it for their bars. They can't even give it away. Some guy said that owned a bar. He said they can't even give this stuff away. Nobody wants to touch it. Mm-hmm. I don't know what she was thinking. But the brand is tainted.
First off, Kathy,
I don't think Don Jr.'s plea is going to go very far. I think it's going to fall on deaf ears. Yeah. And I think people are going to say, I love you, Don, but sorry, not sorry. Yeah, I'm not going to start drinking it because you told me to.
Just to sum this up on Don Jr., don't cancel Don Jr. for one thing he said.
No, you can disagree with him, but you don't have to cancel him.
He's earned a pass. Now, so far as this girl with Anheuser-Busch that did this to the company, this is what happens when you put a woman in charge of marketing for a man's drink.
Yeah.
And, that you don't put men in charge of the marketing department for tampons.
No, you shouldn't.
Or a makeup line, even if it's a gay guy, you really shouldn't do that, because they don't know how to market to the clientele. She doesn't know who her clientele is. Now, the thing about...
She wants a new clientele.
This Republican connection, which I could care less about, frankly, how much money they give to Republicans, who cares about that? But... the Republican Party tweeted a tweet that they deleted the other day. They tweeted that, now we can all admit that Bud Light tastes like water. And then they deleted it because they're donating all this money to us. So they deleted it,
See, I think once that came out, that, and who knows if that story, how true that is. I mean, maybe Bud Light had that story printed. I mean, I don't know, to kind of get the GOP,
the donations.
to back
the donations
off.
are public records, so people have looked into it. So they do make the.
This
the
whole
donations.
thing of embracing trans women as women is such an affront to real women.
And it's stupid.
It is so anti-women's lib and anti-women's rights.
Yeah.
These are men. They might say they're women or whatever, identify as women, but they're still men.
Mm-hmm.
They still are biologically male. And I don't care how many hormones they take or what happens, they still have the chromosomes and they are still men. They don't have ovaries. They're not women. You can call them trans women, but I'm not going to call them a woman. They're not a woman, but a trans woman. That's different. And that's the way it goes. And I think the problem is they hired somebody who's extremely weird, controversial, and the whole thing behind it was celebrating him being a woman for a year. That's what's bizarre. Why did they have to celebrate his woman? And there's so many other real women they could celebrate. That would be so much better. He's not even a woman, and they're celebrating him being a woman. It's ridiculous.
And Dylan Mulvaney
she's obviously a big fan of this guy.
Is
girl.
such a not just physically, but also personality-wise, is a repulsive person.
Yeah, he's a turnoff.
There's Dylan Mulvaney. Doesn't have one likable quality. Like we were talking about RuPaul last week. Okay, he's like the most famous of the. RuPaul is a likable person who's entertaining and funny. Dylan Mulvaney has one of the worst personalities. Really looks like a psychopath.
But he's
frankly.
not a drag queen. You're comparing a trans woman to. I don't even know if he's really a trans woman. I think he's a grifter. I think he's a fraud.
Yes. I think he's a failed actor.
RuPaul is a drag queen.
Dylan Mulvaney's a failed actor, just like Leah Thomas is a failed swimmer, and they found a way to cheat.
Exactly. I think that's exactly right. I think he's a phony. They have clips of him on Ellen when he was a guy not that long ago. And I think this is a character he's come up with. That's how I feel. And it's done very well for him. I mean, he's very effeminate, and I just think this is a character he's come up with.
Dylan
for
Mulvaney,
money.
I cannot remember the name of the character. You'll remember it, Kathy. Or if you don't, somebody will let us know in the comments. Dylan Mulvaney is as repulsive as that character that Andy Kaufman did. That was the lounge singer.
Oh, Tony Clifton.
Tony Clifton. And Dylan Mulvaney are like, if you don't know Tony Clifton, go and look up Tony Clifton, Andy Kaufman.
It's the same deal. It's like a character.
Yeah, but they're repulsive.
Right.
They're just repulsive people.
I don't know what this girl was thinking, but she should be fired.
Well, okay.
But they're afraid to fire her,
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Okay. Obviously, as you can tell by watching national marketing campaigns everywhere, wokesters have taken over everything. Okay. If you watch national commercials on television, rarely do you see a white man unless it's an alarm company commercial and he's breaking into the house. And rarely do you see heterosexual couples. And if you do, it's like an Asian man married to a black woman or a black man married to a Hispanic, and half the commercials are same-sex marriages. So wokesters,
very woke.
Wokesters have taken over marketing in general in this country. And people that are involved, I work in marketing. What I do on the radio is marketing. And in marketing, you like I give an example. Okay, some of these creeps that call me on the radio. Okay, who are some of the bigger creeps that people would know about? Kathy?
Greg too.
Okay, yeah, Greg too.
Renee from Harlem.
Okay, okay. Let's use Renee for Harlem.
Yeah.
Okay, if all of a sudden Renee from Harlem called in, and I tried to get Renee from Harlem to start saying things about sponsors, would that be good or bad? It'd be bad.
Yeah,
it'd be dumb. When you're marketing something, you've got to market to the audience, and you got to do it right. And these wokesters have taken over the entire marketing industry at a national level in this country.
I would think the main objective of marketing is to know your audience.
That's correct.
Probably one of the first things you learn. But like I said, I think they're going for a new audience. But
You can't alienate
you can't
your
just make
current,
a drastic shift like that. It's crazy.
You know, I was listening to Fox News on Sirius satellite radio the other day. So I don't know if this was a commercial that was just for listeners on Sirius satellite radio or if it was on television. But I couldn't tell because it was the same voiceover guy. And they said, Fox News, #1 among conservatives, Democrats, and independents. They said Republicans. I'm sorry. They said Fox News, #1 among Republicans, Democrats, and independents. Well, who came up with that brilliant promo? Why would Fox News be the #1 choice for Democrats? That's like that's not a plus. That's counter promotion for Fox News, as far as I'm concerned. So what I think we could do that would be productive is to try to get rid of these woke people that have infiltrated the marketing business. These wokesters, these liberal radical people have infiltrated the marketing world at that New York, Madison Avenue, Mad Men level, just like they infiltrated the professorships at all our universities 50 years ago.
Do you agree with Don? Do you think people should boycott Bud Light still or should start buying it again?
No, I don't think people should be buying Bud Light or Budweiser.
So you do disagree with him on that?
Yeah, I don't think people should be buying Bud Light or Budweiser.
I agree.
No, I don't think people should be buying that. No.
And I think
not until it changes
for him to come out and
now,
say that.
Now, before we break,
I do.
Because we got to take our first break of the program. I want to ask you guys this. What could Anheuser-Busch do right now? And I know people say, "Oh, fire her and fire this." Okay, I agree with that. We all agree. Could you imagine what would happen if Anheuser-Busch, what they really need to do
they're in a pickle.
Is have this CIA operative that runs the company go on television and say, "We screwed up. We messed up."
He didn't do that.
Okay.
He said we're a company that's all inclusive.
And they tried
that's one of those buzzwords.
He released a statement that was gobbledygook.
Very generic.
And they did release something with the Clydesdale horses over the weekend. They tried to make that, something. But what could they do to save their reputation right now? Because if they went out and fired her, the marketing VP,
that would be a start.
Dylan Mulvaney, they would have every liberal, every gay, every trans person out there to destroy. They're in such a bad position right now. It's a catch-22. There's nothing they can do to recover other than, I believe, apologize. First, fire both of them, the VP and Dylan Mulvaney, apologize to their base customer and say, we will never do this again, and then don't talk and just make beer.
Howard Stern said he does not understand the outrage and the anger like from Kid Rock. He doesn't understand why it's been so triggering. Well, he's turned into an old woman.
Because it's a man's drink.
And he doesn't understand why people are so outraged over that. So I was really trying to think about it because, it's just a product. It's just a person.
No, it's more than that.
But yeah, it is. It's more than that. And for me, it's a slap in the face to women and to Americans. That's why I find it, I take it personally.
And what happened to Howard Stern? Howard Stern used to be this fight the power and all this stuff. And he's become an old lady.
Since COVID changed him. He doesn't even leave his house anymore. Yeah.
COVID and his wife.
Yeah. He's turned into
he's a woman, old lady.
An old lady.
Yeah. Old biddy.
An old Jewish lady.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there is a lot more to talk about. We have just scratched the surface. Don't go anywhere. We will be back right after this. Are you tired of that same old hairstyle? Do you want to switch things up and stand out from the crowd? Look no further than Dread Cabrit. Dread Cabrit specialize in boho locks, a freeform version of faux locks, available in different colors and including hair. Their bohemian locks are handmade with love and utilize crochet locks, a crochet hook, and additional extension hair to create that perfect look. And don't forget about their famous extra curly hair used in mastering the boho locks process. It's the perfect combination of goddess locks and traditional faux locks. dreadlocks. At Dread Cabrit, they celebrate real, authentic brilliance in women and men who believe in themselves. Book your appointment today and let love be in the hair. Find them on Instagram at Dread_Cabrit. That's Kabrit. Or call them directly 561-708-0554. 561-708-0554. Dread Cabrit, because your hair deserves to be loved. Money can be a complex and overwhelming topic, but it doesn't have to be. If you're looking for a podcast that simplifies the complexities of finance, money, and investment, look no further than the Swan Effect Podcast, available on all podcast platforms. Hosted by women who work in the world of finance, they dive deep into the gray areas of finance and empower listeners to make better money decisions. The Swan Effect offers financial wellness and financial literacy tips to improve your relationship with money. With a tribute to the late co-creator and co-host of Season 1, Lucille, The Swan Effect is proud to continue elevating the important message of financial wellness and financial literacy globally. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and all major podcast platforms. Add The Swan Effect Podcast to your podcast playlist right now and take control of your finances today. Are you plagued by restless nights and endless streams of unconventional thoughts? Are you on the lookout for a YouTube channel that speaks to your individuality? Look no further than Ideas That Keep Me Up at Night on YouTube, hosted by Louis Labrie. With a diverse background spanning from tattoo artistry and entrepreneurship to engineering and teaching, Louis brings a fresh and exciting perspective to his channel. Join Louis as he delves into fascinating ideas from fun projects to travel. His infectious enthusiasm and upbeat personality will keep you entertained every step of the way. Plus, you'll get an insider look into his experiences living in both rural Virginia and urban Spain, offering unique insights into life on 2 different continents. So if you're ready for an exhilarating ride filled with strange ideas, fun projects, and new friendships, head over to Ideas That Keep Me Up at Night on YouTube. Subscribe and make sure to share the channel on all of your social media so your friends can sub too. Ideas That Keep Me Up at Night on YouTube, where unconventional ideas come to life.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Hope you all had a great weekend. I know Kathy and I did. We're decluttering our house. So I've been cleaning out the garage. So it's been a great weekend doing that too. Thinking about all the things I'm throwing away that we spend good money on. It's just crazy.
You got to do it once in a while.
Yeah, I know.
You accumulate so much stuff. You got to purge.
Goodness. I know. And there people tomorrow's bulk day. So
we're not hoarders.
No, we're not hoarders, but it's bulk day. I'm cleaning out the garage, and everything that I've thrown away, someone has driven by and taken. So
I guess we have some good stuff.
Yeah, I guess maybe we should have had a yard sale, but
maybe that's a hassle too.
It is a hassle, But anyway, welcome back, everyone. Lots going on, lots to talk about. Okay, so there's 2 things on DeSantis. There's one story out there. A big donor is dropping him, and
this is huge.
That's big, and this is not the first big donor. Some other donors a few weeks ago dropped him here in Florida.
Yeah, things are falling apart.
Some big Palm Beach donors, and now this guy. Now, this incident in New Hampshire where they rushed the stage, this was an interesting thing. I'll give you some background in a minute, and I'll play the audio. I did a live stream on YouTube Saturday morning, and I wasn't going to live stream on YouTube this Saturday morning, but I did because I saw Friday night the video and the story of DeSantis giving this speech in New Hampshire at a $150 a person fundraiser, and this woman going up on the stage, and I think, whatever, I didn't think too much of it. And then I got up Saturday morning, and it was all over the news online. And then I watched the video a couple of times, and I said, this thing just stinks, and it looked fake to me.
Me too.
And I'll play you the audio, and I'll make my case about it. And I was thinking to myself, this is just nonsense. And I went online to see what was going on about the story, and every story was like, Ron DeSantis stood up to the protester on the stage, and I'm thinking, this thing is so staged. So I did a live stream Saturday morning. I went to Starbucks and did a live stream, drinking my coffee, and you guys should go and watch that live stream because my weekend live streams at Starbucks, I've been telling you about the homeless guy that doesn't like my politics, that's always trying to disrupt me, that lives at Starbucks. You know, he made his first appearance on the YouTube stream this week. He made the first appearance on the channel.
Getting more and more bold.
Well, he didn't have his wingman this time. The other guy, wasn't there. He was by himself, and he was getting really aggravated at me. And this homeless guy that lives at the Starbucks, he literally lives there. Starbucks has a national policy that homeless people can live there, and so they do. And they have outlets outside, and he spends the nights on the tables where people go with their families and their babies and children and eat at these tables. This homeless guy sleeps there all night, and he's got an oxygen machine and a CPAP machine that he plugs in to the outlets at Starbucks. And so anyway, he made his first appearance on my YouTube channel. He walks past me several times, and you can see the guy. People in the chat were like, "Is that the homeless guy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it is." They can't. He can't read the chat, Although he does. He does have a cell phone. I can't tell if it's an Android or an iPhone. He's homeless guy
set up there.
But he makes his first appearance, and it's just wonderful here. But anyway. I went and made a live stream very specifically because I called total BS on this story.
Yeah.
And I put together, I think, a pretty good argument for it. And that's what the live stream was about. But I want to do it here on the podcast as well. And what really surprised me is pretty much all the response I've gotten from people is, yeah, you're right. It does stink. It does seem like fake. So let me play the audio. This is Ron DeSantis on stage giving a speech in New Hampshire, and then these two women come up and interrupt the speech.
If you looked at governor races, president races, 2010, 12, 14, 16, 18, yeah, thank you.
Jews against DeSantis! Jews against DeSantis!
You got to have a little spice in the speech, right? I mean, you got to have a little fun. Why you'd want to pay the ticket to get in just to do that, I don't know, but different strokes for different folks.
Okay, so he doesn't move. He stands tall there. The two women go up there, and the woman you hear, she's yelling, "Jews against DeSantis." Mm-hmm. What does that even mean?
I don't know.
It really, what does that even mean? And, he is the governor of Florida, and he's been reelected. Florida has the largest Jewish population in the world. Okay, we have more Jews in Florida than in Israel.
You think so?
Yeah, it's true. The largest Jewish population in the world is in Florida. Now, and there's a split among Jews. A lot of Jews are Democrats, but a lot of Jews that I know are Republican and vote for DeSantis. So Jews against DeSantis. Now, this is why I think it's a fake setup thing. Okay. This week, Ron DeSantis signed in the Florida law the most controversial pro-life laws signed into law by a governor in decades, if not forever, okay? So he signed into law a ban on abortions after 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. But he also added into that he signed into law that in cases of rape and incest beyond the 6 weeks are allowed if there is documentation, which means you just can't walk in and say you were raped or say you're a victim of incest. You have to produce a police report, and I would imagine probably hospital documentation or some medical test before you could get it. So that's some pretty conservative pro-life positions. And these women, these liberal women are up there saying Jews against DeSantis. If it was real, they'd be up there griping about that. They'd be these Handmaid's Tale ladies going up there or something. And this is what set me off on this nonsensical thing of Jews against DeSantis, which does not even make sense. Karl Rove slipped on Fox News Channel a couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. He was on with his stupid whiteboard with Dana Perino, and he referred to Ron DeSantis' presidential campaign as our campaign. He slipped. So that tells you that Karl Rove, who's with the Bushes, is running the DeSantis campaign, which is an illegal campaign because you can't run and be governor, and he's got this fake thing going on. But Karl Rove slipped on live TV and said our campaign in reference to the DeSantis campaign. I saw Karl Rove on Fox TV several times last week, and I've heard him say this other times too, but I heard him several times this week, Karl Rove say, Republicans lost in the midterms, which we did not. That's not true.
No.
We won back the House of Representatives and fired Nancy Pelosi, and we have a MAGA-controlled House of Representatives. But he says we lost because of the extreme pro-life position of Donald Trump in the MAGA movement. Karl Rove is obsessed with it, and he said, the suburban women. He's back in the 90s. He's talking about suburban women.
Well, now you know that Republicans that were always speaking up against abortion all along were just full of crap.
Well, yeah,
because they never wanted to ban it or do anything, and they never did.
So Karl Rove does not want to be involved in the pro-life movement. He doesn't want DeSantis connected to it. And Karl Rove is part of the Bush team that faked the entire weapons of mass destruction in Iraq that have destroyed millions of people's lives and caused a war that lasted over a decade. So if they're gonna set up an entire war, this is nothing. And here's the thing. Karl Rove, since he's running the campaign, what's he concerned about? He's concerned about fundraising and things like this, Karl Rove, right? This big donor that dropped Ron DeSantis over the weekend, dropped him because he signed these pro-life bills into law in Florida. That was his reasoning for dropping DeSantis. So I think Karl Rove set this thing up but kept abortion out of it because he was afraid he'd lose these liberal rhino donors to Ron DeSantis for what he calls an extreme abortion position.
You have to respect DeSantis for signing that, knowing the risks to his political
I wouldn't go
future.
That far.
Well,
I wouldn't go that far.
I think I'm sure he knew that. I'm sure he was advised that if he signed this, it could be detrimental to his political future.
He had to sign it.
He didn't have to.
He'd be done for good. He'd be done.
And he did it anyway.
He's already done and doesn't know it, but he didn't have a choice but to sign it. But I think Karl Rove was behind this thing in New Hampshire with the girls on the stage.
Maybe.
And he had it about this generic stupid comment as opposed to abortion because he was trying to save this big fat cat rhino donor that they lost over the weekend.
Yeah.
So you guys let me know in the comments. I call total BS on that incident. I think it was fake. Now, next month, which is right around the corner, is Mother's Day. And Mother's Day is a very important holiday. You want to get mom something that she will use, remember, love, and cherish for years to come. And that's why you want to do your Mother's Day shopping at MyPillow.com. And when you use our promo code KANE at checkout, KANE, there are just huge deals. And I want to talk about the MyPillow My Slippers. I'm wearing my MyPillow My Slippers right now, my tan moccasin MyPillow My Slippers. And this is a great deal. These slippers that I'm wearing cost much more than what you can buy them for right now. The MyPillow My Slippers, which come in many different sizes and styles, many different colors, including pink for the ladies, and they have a bunch of new sizes in. They have smaller sizes, for people with smaller feet, and they have larger and wider sizes than ever before. And right now, they are offering them with our promo code KANE at checkout for $100 off. The MyPillow My Slippers are just $49.98. The ones I'm wearing right now, we paid $149.98 for.
Yeah,
they're worth every penny.
Yeah.
I'm wearing them right now, and my feet feel great. I love them. I'm walking around with my pillows on my feet. It feels great. But you can get them for $100 less than I paid for, just $49.98. And mom will love these, all right? They got the slip-ons. They've got the moccasins. There's many styles,
Get her
many
those
colors.
in a matching bathrobe. Be a great gift.
Absolutely. And the bathrobes, listen to this, the MyPillow bathrobes, which come in every size imaginable in many different colors. There's a heavy robe and a lighter robe. They even have pink in those as well, but there's many colors. There's a huge discount on the MyPillow bathrobes. They're just $59.98 with the promo code KANE at checkout, KANE. Now, you can take advantage of all the specials at MyPillow.com with our promo code KANE at checkout, KANE. But those MyPillow bathrobes and the MyPillow My Slippers, there's not a mom on this planet who would not love to have both of those, and she will have them for years to come. In fact, Kathy and I we both have the MyPillow bathrobes. We've had them since they first came out, And it's been a couple years. We got them for Valentine's Day a couple years ago for each other. And they're like the day they arrived.
Yeah, they still are great.
Absolutely.
And bathrobes get a lot of wear and tear.
They sure, and you wash them a lot. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? They get thinner, and nope, these are just like the day you get them.
And the MyPillow My Slippers are good for all day wear. They're not just around the house. In fact, on our listener cruise that we just came back from, Steve Kane wore his MyPillow My Slippers. He has the moccasin charcoal colors. They're almost like black. Steve Kane wore his MyPillow My Slippers to dinner every night in his suit and everything.
Wow.
Yeah, he asked me. He says, "Can I wear my MyPillow My Slippers?" I said, "Yeah." And his wife said, No. I said, "Steve," I said, "if they're looking at your feet, we're in trouble. No one's going to be looking at your feet." And you know what? I'd forgotten about it. And we were like 5 days out on the cruise. And I said, "Are you wearing those slippers?" Because I couldn't see his feet.
They look like regular black shoes
yeah,
too. But
he said, "Yeah." He wore them on the whole cruise. So anyway, go to mypillow.com and do your Mother's Day shopping. All right, make sure you use our promo code at checkout. Kane, Kane. We'll be right back. Robert Allen Miltenberg invites you to time travel with him to the Roman future. His new novella, available at Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. It's the golden age of Rome, a time of peace and prosperity. And Scadius Commodius Lavatorius is its greatest scientist. But for all he's achieved, one question haunts him. Will Rome survive the test of time? There's only one way to find out. Come along on this cosmic romp of an adventure. See if you can read the signs any better than a brilliant scientist can. Prediction, science fiction, allegory, national glory. This is a satire at its most gladiatorial. Center stage in the Circus Maximus of your mind. A story of time machines and timeless politics, strange Roman cuisine and gambling parlor tricks, spinning gold and crossing the river Styx. That's the Roman future. Available on Kindle and paperback. Go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble now and visit The Roman Future by Robert Allen Miltenberg today. Does the idea of a freshly blended, ice-cold fruit smoothie sound delicious? Enjoy the refreshing convenience of blended drinks wherever you go with the electric portable fruit juicing blender, available at bestblenderplace.com. Bestblenderplace.com is your one-stop shop for high-quality blending products at affordable prices. When you visit the store, make sure to check out their best-selling portable blender. This versatile and convenient gadget is perfect for anyone who loves enjoying healthy drinks on the go. Whether you're relaxing at home or on the road, this compact and portable blender is perfect for whipping up fresh smoothies, juices, or other delicious drinks. It features a powerful motor and sharp blades, ensuring every drink you make is smooth and refreshing. It's the perfect gift, too, for anyone who has a busy life or just wants to enjoy fresh, delicious drinks whenever and wherever they want. Head to bestblenderplace.com to order yours right now. bestblenderplace.com. Are you tired of feeling stuck in a cycle of complaints and negativity? Do you want to cultivate a more positive and fulfilling life for yourself and those around you? Look no further than the book Living Without Complaint from author Emmy Kazanovic. In this powerful and practical guide, you'll discover how complaining impacts mental health, relationships, and productivity. You'll learn practical strategies for living without complaints, including mindfulness practices, gratitude exercises, positive self-talk, setting realistic expectations, and adopting a growth mindset. It's a must-read for anyone looking to bring more positivity into their life and a great eye-opener for chronic complainers. Living Without Complaint gives you the tools you need to overcome obstacles and maintain a complaint-free lifestyle. If you're ready to experience the wonders of a complaint-free life, don't miss out on the opportunity to read Living Without Complaint from author Emmy Kazanovic. Embrace your positivity and gratitude. Order your copy of Living Without Complaint on Amazon right now. Escape Reality DE on Etsy is the ultimate one-stop shop for exclusive streetwear that you won't find anywhere else. Escape Reality DE on Etsy know how difficult it can be to find high-quality, unique streetwear. What sets them apart from other streetwear shops is their unique style and one-of-a-kind, carefully curated inventory and an eye for style that's unparalleled. When you wear their clothing, people will stop you and ask where you got them. You won't find these designs in mass production, which means you'll always have an exclusive selection to choose from. Escape Reality DE is the perfect place to find exclusive streetwear. So head over to their Etsy shop right now and experience the world of exclusivity. Go to Etsy.com and search Escape Reality DE. That's all one word. You'll be amazed by their fantastic inventory. Express your style with Escape Reality DE. That's all one word on Etsy.com. Their collection is simply amazing. Check it out and see for yourself. Escape Reality DE on Etsy. Start shopping right now.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Every day there's another negative story about Clarence Thomas. They got a new one here. This is the headline. More trouble for Clarence Thomas. SCOTUS Justice, that's Supreme Court of the United States, has been claiming up to $100,000 a year income from a real estate firm managed by his wife's sister that has not existed since 2006. I don't know. Listen.
They're really going after him.
Listen, here's the thing.
Well, then you got to wonder, where's that money coming from?
Here's the thing. A company could not exist anymore and still have some assets that they're making money. I don't know. But I know this, okay? I know this. They want to get rid of him. This happened before. Obama,
the left is canceling a black man.
I want to think here.
Isn't that awful?
Well, they don't consider him black because he's a Republican. But I may be wrong about this name, guys. So don't get mad at me. I know I get all the comments if I'm wrong. I think I'm right, but I might. It's been a long time since Obama was president. When Obama was president, Stephen Breyer resigned from the Supreme Court of the United States. I'm pretty sure it was Stephen Breyer. Mm-hmm. And he was not some old fossil like, some of these Supreme Court justices are that look like they're 2,000 years old, okay? Yeah. He resigned out of the blue, and Obama got a pick. And there was a lot of talk at the time that they had something on him. And a lot of people thought Stephen Breyer was closeted gay. I don't know that he was, but people have always speculated that he was closeted gay or something, and they got him to resign. He was very young for a justice. He was very healthy, and boom. They're trying to get rid of Clarence Thomas so that Biden can get a Supreme Court pick. Biden doesn't have much to run on, okay? He's starting a war. He's a crook. He's
out of it.
He's driven inflation up through the roof. The Democrats are responsible from a massive exodus from blue states to red states. There's nothing good that's come out. And if he can get a Supreme Court pick, he could pick a transgendered,
he would for
gay, sure. Latina X person for the Supreme Court. And then he'd be a big hero.
Yeah.
And if you think I'm kidding, he wants to appoint a transgender person to the Supreme Court, I believe.
I believe that's true.
And he thinks that if he appoints he's not announced this, if he appoints a transgender person to the Supreme Court, he'll be the biggest hero the liberals have had since Kennedy.
Oh, he will.
And
they'll love it.
And the reason I brought this thing up with, and I'm pretty sure it was Stephen Breyer, but this just popped in my head just this second as we were talking. It's been many years. But the reason I bring that up is there's no doubt he was intimidated somehow to resign from the court.
Yeah.
Those guys don't even work. Their clerks do all the work. They do nothing. Okay, and they're honored like gods everywhere they go, law schools and stuff. Nobody walks away from that. They die there, right? And the Obama administration got him to resign somehow. The Obama people are running Biden, okay? This is the same act they did back then. They're trying to do on Clarence Thomas. Now, I don't know about a Supreme Court justice, but federal judges, I'm not talking about Supreme Court, federal judges can be impeached and removed from office, and it has happened.
The AOC is trying to get him impeached.
Yeah, I knew a guy who was a federal judge who was impeached for the suspicion of taking bribes and removed from the bench. And then he went on to be a Democrat member of the House of Representatives, serving in the Congressional Black Caucus alongside some people who voted to remove him from office for taking bribes. And that was Alcee Hastings. And I knew Alcee Hastings because before he was in Congress and after he was thrown off the federal bench, he was appointed by President Carter. He used to fill in for Steve Kane when I first started working with Steve. And I wasn't on the air really yet. I just was the board op. And Alcee Hastings used to fill it all the time. And people would call in and say, you took a bribe, judge, you fake corrupt judge. And he'd take the calls. But it was so much fun.
What happened to him?
He died.
Oh, okay.
In office, in Congress, he died. So that's why I'm talking. You don't want to mess with that guy. You don't want to mess with that guy. So anyway, I don't know if there's a process in place like that for a justice. I'm sure there's some process. A Supreme Court justice, there has to be something, like if they go out and start killing people, you have to be able to. I don't believe
I would think so.
I don't believe anything that they're reporting about Clarence Thomas is criminal.
Really after him for sure.
I'm not saying that these things are not true.
I don't think he's the kind of guy that would quit either.
I'm not saying that he's not making money from this company that is out of business now. It's possible to do that somehow. I don't know how these things work. I'm not saying he hasn't taken vacations with that rich friend of his. I'm not saying that's not true.
Who cares?
What I'm saying is, I don't think he's done anything criminal.
No.
I don't think he's done anything that's not ethical.
I agree.
And it's obvious that and I think I'm the first person to talk about this. I think that Joe Biden is making a move. They're trying to get rid of him so he can appoint a transgender judge to the Supreme Court. And
it's amazing that Trump
do you see him doing that?
3 judges.
And great judges. Perfect
in 4
judges.
years.
Do you see Biden appointing a transgender justice?
Absolutely.
Can you imagine?
Absolutely.
That's exactly what they're planning.
Yeah.
Then he'll be a big hero. Now,
I think Biden has a thing for trannies.
Joe Biden is
he's got a thing for them, I think.
Joe Biden is one of those people that I call trisexual. He'll try it with anyone.
Yeah.
He's a trisexual.
Yeah, I think so too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
really weird. He's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, he
hired that
a
Dylan
strange
Mulvaney
guy.
too. Remember, he was at the White House like last year and dressed up like Jackie Kennedy. What a freak!
Did you see that this Planned Parenthood communications director killed himself?
Yeah, they found like kiddie porn or something on his computer.
It says here the former director of strategic communications at the Southern New England branch of Planned Parenthood took his own life amid a child porn investigation in Connecticut, which means it was probably true.
Well, yeah, if he took his own life.
Yeah. When you are a communicator for Auschwitz, you've lost total sense of right and wrong, and it doesn't surprise me that he's involved in that other nonsense.
I mean, this is
that
not
other disgusting
not
thing.
a moral person at all.
No. I mean, he's basically a spokesperson for Dr. Mengele.
What I find amazing, speaking of abortion, is Ron DeSantis just passed this bill the other day, signing it, where there's a ban after 6 weeks, and there's really no outrage in Florida over it.
Or anywhere.
No, and I'm really hoping that all these restrictions on abortion, which, by the way, is kind of how it used to be in like the 80s and 90s and stuff. Yeah. It was not as easy, but I'm really hoping that it will force younger people to be more responsible with their sex and who they sleep with. You know, when you make abortion so readily available up to 8 or 9 months, you're really allowing a lot of criminal behavior.
Oh, yeah.
You're allowing fathers who molest their daughters to cover their crimes. Mm-hmm. You're allowing rapists to cover up their crimes. And you're allowing young men and women to be extremely promiscuous and indiscriminate with who they sleep with and careless. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of birth control available. But when you have abortion so readily available as an option, they don't think about that. And I'm hoping that these restrictions, especially I'm thinking of like the high school and college kids, that it will really force them to think twice. Having abortion around has allowed young people to be extremely promiscuous.
Oh, yes.
And I'm hoping that curtails that a little bit, where maybe the guy will think twice, like, you know what?
Yeah.
I don't really know this girl. She's hot, but maybe I just shouldn't sleep with her, because you know what? She could be calling me in 6 weeks and telling me I'm having a kid and I can't get an abortion now. And that I promise you, young guys are going to think in those terms. Mm-hmm. Like, you know what? Now that it's harder to get one, maybe I should be, keep my pants zipped up. Mm-hmm. And girls might think the same way. Like, you know what? I got to be careful, because I can't just go out and get an abortion at 3 or 4 months. I got to jump through hoops now. And I think that's a good thing. So maybe it'll cause younger people to be a little more careful and discriminate about who they're with. I hope, because I think young people have gotten way too promiscuous and don't even know who they're going
Kathy,
to bed with
I don't
anymore.
know. Half the young people are gay. a quarter of the
Believe me, they're sleeping with somebody.
The quarter,
okay, there's a lot of they're into freaky stuff.
A quarter of the half that's left don't know what gender they are.
So you think that pregnancy is not even an issue because they're sleeping with the same sex?
Yeah, there's not as much regular sex
I agree with you on
Yeah,
that. The birth rate is down.
Yeah.
And I can see that there's some more gay sex going on now than there was when we were in our 20s.
Oh, yeah.
With younger people.
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure. So that probably has cut back on that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it's got to be pretty great. Now, I want to take a moment to thank all of our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. And if you would like to support the program, there's a lot of ways to do it. I mean, you can, of course, when you buy My Pillow products and you use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, you're supporting all of my content that I do, all of it.
And watching you on YouTube and liking the video.
Becoming a member on the YouTube channel, you're supporting the program. And also, if you become a patron of the program, you're also supporting the program. And it helps me do everything that it is that I'm doing. The podcast here with Kathy, my YouTube channel, the radio show. You're supporting all of that when you support the program. And if you're a patron on Patreon, tongue twister. When you're a patron on Patreon, there are certain perks to it. Like, for example, you get commercial-free editions of all of our podcast episodes. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every episode. The names you're going to hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Rome, Wisconsin, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, Arctic Fox, K-Mac, and Cindy. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you all for your support. And if you would like to become a patron of the program, there's a link to our Patreon page in the description of this and every episode. There's also a direct link on my website, briancraigshow.com. And the direct website address is patreon.com/real Brian Craig Show. Patreon.com/real Brian Craig Show. Okay. Now, I'm going to respond to some comments here on my YouTube, which I do. I read all the comments on YouTube, guys. I mean, come on. I know a lot of people say, I don't read my comments. I read them all. I enjoy reading. I get a kick out of them. A video I made a few weeks ago, all of a sudden is taken off. And, that's how YouTube works, right? You put something up on YouTube, and sometimes a year later, all of a sudden the video blows up. But this is a video I made on YouTube Shorts several weeks ago. And I talked about it at the time, and it's just started to get picked up a lot. And a lot of people over the weekend have been seeing the video. And it's approaching 100,000 views, and most of those have come in the last couple of days. And I'm getting all kinds of comments, mostly from liberals. And this is the video when the MAGA scooter broke down, and I talked about the guys that tried to rob me. And what happened is the MAGA scooter, I have a very nice looking scooter, okay? And it looks like a Vespa, but it's not a Vespa, but it looks like a Vespa. And everyone thinks it's a Vespa. And when I'm riding my MAGA scooter around, no matter what trip I'm on, no matter where I'm going, strangers come up to me and ask me if it's a Vespa. And then I at first what I did, I've had the MAGA scooter for over a year. Kathy got it for me for Christmas, the Christmas before this.
Well, it was really an anniversary.
Christmas anniversary.
Our 25th wedding anniversary.
That's true.
We bought each other a couple nice things.
So for the first 6 months, I said, no, it's not a Vespa. And I got tired of it. So I just kind of like I don't lie, but I kind of just fluff my way through it because I'm just so tired of explaining it's not a Vespa. But it looks like a Vespa. And Vespas are expensive. They're very expensive. They're one of the most expensive scooters.
They're like $6,500.
But my MAGA scooter is super cool and beautiful, and I love it. And it broke down, and it broke down. It broke down on my.
It's not perfect.
No, it broke down on my way home from Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah,
and it broke down on a stretch of road that is very secluded, kind of out of the middle of nowhere. There's nothing within a couple of miles of a walk. And it was late in the afternoon. It was sunny out. And I had the MAGA scooter up on the sidewalk. And I called AAA. And I was shocked that I did not have AAA coverage on the MAGA scooter. I thought I added it. In fact, I know I called them and did it, but they didn't add it. So they told me I didn't have coverage for the tow.
You couldn't add it right then?
No, because the office where it was the weekend and the office that you do that is not open till Monday. But even if they were open, I wouldn't be able to use it for 24 hours. So I said, well, can I get a tow truck through you, and pay for it? And they said no. Well, thanks, AAA. So I did add it to AAA after all this happened. So I'm calling around tow truck companies, and the MAGA scooter can't be towed on a regular tow truck. You have to have like a motorcycle tow truck. And it's not easy to find those. And one guy wanted $300 to tow it home. I was just a few miles from the house. He wanted $300. And I was like, this is crazy. And I'm sitting out here on the side of the road. No one's around me. The MAGA scooter, I took the MAGA scooter, put it on the sidewalk. And these two guys sped up and pretty fast right next to me. They pulled off the road and they got out of the van. And one speaks no English. The other one barely speaks English, and he's speaking Spanglish to me, mostly the Spanish part of the Spanglish. And they surrounded me. One got on each side of me. One got
flanked you.
Yeah, they were trying. And when I saw the van pull over, these guys jumped out of the van, and I see on the YouTube comments, some of the liberals, they're calling me Jussie Smollett. Some say things like a lot of that. A lot of Jussie Smollett. Is it pretty funny? And a lot of people are saying, well, why don't you have video of the robbery? Well, I was on the phone trying to get a tow truck. I wasn't expecting something like this to happen, and they didn't rob me, but they were going to. And when I saw them jump out of the van and come towards me pretty fast, and they were about 20, 30 feet in front of me, and they didn't come straight towards me. They came they spread out to get on the sides of me and get me blocked in and surround me.
Weird.
And I was on the phone with a tow truck company. I hung up, and some people said, well, why didn't you call 911? Why'd you call your wife? Because I talk about this on the video. You guys can watch the video. I hung up with the tow truck company, which I'd been on hold with for quite a while, and I called you. I called Kathy. And a lot of people saying, why'd you call your wife? And I said, well, the reason I called Kathy was, first off, I did not know exactly where I was. What I mean was I knew what road I was on. I knew what city I was on, but I didn't know the address, and I didn't even know what the closest cross streets were. I was in a strange, secluded area. And Kathy and I have on our iPhones location tracking where we can see each other where we are.
Yeah, on a map.
On a map. And the reason we do this is many, but just mostly
because we don't trust each other.
No, because it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. No,
it's good. We like to know where each other, just in case something like this happens.
Well, what happens a lot of times, the reason we have this is whenever I'm out of town and I'm on a road trip, or like when I was on the cruise in the islands, or sometimes I'm in Orlando, or I'm in Stewart, or driving somewhere, and I'm driving home, I'll ask Kathy, can you check and see how long will it take me to get home from where I'm at, or something like that, and things like that. And you'll tell me, oh, you're 54 miles from home or something. I was like, okay, good. I'm almost there. Just stay awake a little longer. That's why we do it. But anyway, I called Kathy because I didn't know where I was exactly. Like I said, I didn't know the address that was closest. I didn't know the closest cross street, but I knew Kathy could see exactly where I was on the phone. So I picked up the phone and I called you, and luckily you answered the phone. I said, Kathy, I'm about to be robbed. If something happens, call the police. And I don't know what you were thinking.
I was thinking, holy crap. I was like, okay. And I said, stay on the phone.
And when the guys,
I said, don't hang up.
And when the guys were approaching me, I started walking back, and they surrounded me. And the one guy was over by my scooter. The other guy kept trying to get on my right as I was backing up. And I was still on the phone with you. And I told them, I said, I'm on, the tow truck is coming. They're right down the street. I'm on the phone with the tow truck driver. All of a sudden they understand English. And they thought the tow truck driver was a block away. So they took off. What happened was they thought I had a Vespa scooter because it looks like a Vespa.
Maybe. You're assuming.
And I think they wanted to snag the scooter.
Or they wanted to snag you.
I don't know if they want me, Kathy.
Put you in some...
What are they going to do with me?
Some middle-aged white male sex trade.
Well,
maybe you'd be a hot... You're kind of cute.
With my MAGA hat on?
Maybe that'd be a hot commodity.
Yeah, exactly. At my age, they're going to put me in the sex slavery. They must really...
Hey, everybody's got a fetish.
The coyote sex traffickers must be scraping the bottom of the barrel for guys my age. But I did have my MAGA hat on. And
you never know.
So,
you are a handsome guy.
So that's what happened. And a lot of guys, a lot of people have been saying in the comments, well, why didn't you draw your gun and all this stuff? Well, first off, I didn't have my gun. And second, you can't just draw your gun on people. You have to have more evidence than that. You have to, now, if they would have like grabbed me, if they'd have pulled a knife or a weapon, then you could pull your gun. You just can't randomly pull your gun on people that are speaking to you in Spanish. If you had it with you, what
would you have done?
I probably would have reached for it.
You can show your gun. Now,
no,
I know somebody,
you cannot. You cannot.
Can't show it to somebody like lift your shirt up.
No.
Yes, you can.
No, under the concealed weapon laws in the state of Florida, unless your life is threatened.
Well, your life was kind of threatened
feeling
there.
Your life was threatened. They didn't have a knife out. They didn't have a gun out. They didn't grab me yet.
If you have two guys you don't know walking towards you in an aggressive way, then your life is threatened.
You could get in trouble that way.
So.
You could get in trouble that way.
I know somebody who
but I didn't have a gun.
And he was almost robbed a couple times. It happened. And all he did was lift his jacket and boom, the guy's left.
Well, one of those was an ATM and they came up behind him at an ATM machine.
Yeah.
So that's that. Yeah. I probably would have gone for my gun if I had it.
Right.
But it's so funny that what these people are, well, why don't you have video of that? Well, when these things happen, you're just not always videoing when things like this happen. And they didn't rob me. They were going to rob me.
Well, we have all these Monday morning quarterbacks telling you but if it happened to them, they probably would have handled it differently.
I love reading it cracks me up. Yeah. I mean, it cracks me up. When I called,
a lot of shoulds.
When I called you and said, Kathy, I'm about to be robbed. If something happens, call the police.
I didn't know what to do. I said, stay on the phone. And I pulled you up on the map thing. So I knew where you were.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, if he gets disconnected, I'll call the 911, the police.
Well, and here's the other thing. When you call 911 on your cell phone, it gets you rerouted all over the place, and it takes forever to get someone. So I did survive that. Now I will tell you though that I am buying a new scooter because I'm upgrading my scooter.
The MAGA 2.0.
Yeah,
Mike Lindell upgrades his pillow. Brian's going to upgrade.
That's right. I'm going to get the MAGA scooter 2.0. I've already picked it out. The MAGA scooter I have is very, very nice.
But it breaks down.
It's broken down a couple times.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I did find, though, a company, which I'm going to start telling you about them this week. I found a local scooter company. They repaired the MAGA scooter. This last time when it broke down, they did a great job, and it runs better than ever
they did
before.
Do a good job.
And I've been riding it all over town this weekend. I picked it up Thursday. Was it Thursday or Friday? I can't remember. I picked it up Thursday or Friday. And I've been riding it all over the place the last few days. And I'll tell you about it more later this week. But they did a great job. They even put a new oil pump in it. Can you believe it? Needed a new oil pump. They fixed the belt broke that turns the tire. They did a great job. And I wish I'd have found them a year ago because the other people that worked on my scooter were terrible. But anyway, this is just what happens, And all these people on YouTube calling me Jussie Smollett. I love it. I love it.
I don't get where that thinking is. I mean, you're not accusing anybody of a racial hate crime.
So when the MAGA scooter 2.0 that I'm getting, I was going to get a Vespa. And because of this incident, I'm not getting a Vespa because I think the Vespa is a little too flashy. And I think that incident happened because they thought I was on a Vespa because they're so expensive.
Maybe.
And I feel like if I get a Vespa, that I'm setting myself up to maybe have the scooter stolen. Like if I'm in a parking lot somewhere, someone might take it or something because they're so high end and so high in demand. But anyway, go and watch the short because after the whole incident was over, I made a YouTube short telling the story right after it happened. Some people think I deserved it because I was wearing a MAGA hat in the YouTube comments. Could you imagine?
Mm. Yeah, I can. Those are liberals like Jane Fonda.
Exactly. A bunch of Jane Fondas out there.
Yeah, you don't deserve to live.
Oh, my goodness.
Because you're wearing a MAGA hat. So
exactly.
That's how they really
Exactly. Some people say, how do you know they weren't going to help you? Then why were they surrounding me? What was that all about?
I don't know. Maybe they were going to help, but the way they were standing was
very
from what
threatening.
you described was strange.
It was very threatening. Listen, guys, thanks everyone for listening. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We will talk to you next time. Are you struggling to connect with your teen? Are you worried about the troubles your teen is facing in today's world? Don't miss out on the ultimate guide to faith-led parenting with the book from Script Seeds, Parenting Teens Through Faith, available on Amazon. Parenting Teens Through Faith is your essential handbook to raising confident, resilient, and empowered teenagers. This book provides practical advice for providing a strong, faith-based foundation for building character, virtues, and resilience in your teen. You'll also discover essential biblical principles for providing hope and confidence, no matter your faith background. Start building a stronger, more resilient family with Parenting Teens Through Faith, available in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover editions on Amazon. This book is perfect for church groups. Order your copy right now. Are you a truck or car enthusiast looking to upgrade your ride? Look no further than GroundZeroCustoms.com. GroundZeroCustoms.com is an online store specializing in aftermarket performance and appearance upgrades. They have a vast inventory of high-quality parts and accessories, and they have everything you need to take your vehicle to the next level. GroundZeroCustoms.com offer the best brands in the business, including Baja Designs, Mickey Thompson Tires, 4Play, and that's just the beginning. Whether you're looking for lighting upgrades or suspension modifications, they have you covered. Plus, GroundZeroCustoms.com understand that each vehicle is unique, which is why they offer a wide range of specialized parts and accessories. Upgrade your ride and make it truly your own. Go to GroundZeroCustoms.com and discover the possibilities. You will find an unbeatable selection and everything you need to take your vehicle to the next level. Start shopping right now at GroundZeroCustoms.com.